There's something undeniably captivating about those people who seem untouched by time. You know the kind. Years pass, birthdays come and go. Yet they still walk into a room with a glow that's hard to describe. It's not just smooth skin or fit bodies. No cream or gym could fully explain it. There's something deeper at play, an energy that whispers of peace, purpose, and alignment. It's almost as if their very presence slows time down, like they've tapped into a hidden rhythm that the rest of us are still trying to hear. They carry a lightness that doesn't come from ignorance or naivety, but from a kind of knowing, a quiet wisdom that doesn't scream for attention, yet you can feel it the moment they speak, or even before. It's in their eyes, in the way they laugh freely, in how they listen without needing to respond. It's a radiance born not from what they've avoided, but from what they've embraced. Life hasn't spared them from challenges. In fact, it's likely handed them more than most. But it's the way they've met those moments that makes all the difference. Youth, then, isn't just about age. It's not frozen in time. It's alive in spirit. And when someone lives from that deeper place, when they're grounded in who they are and tuned into something greater than themselves, it shows. Their faces tell stories, not of fatigue, but of resilience. Their posture carries no weight of pretension, only the grace of someone who's found ease in their own skin. You can spot it instantly in people who've done the inner work, not just read the books or recited the affirmations, but truly confronted themselves in silence. They've sat with uncomfortable truths, cried in private, forgiven what once seemed unforgivable, and somehow returned with a calm that can't be shaken. That calm doesn't just settle in their minds. It shapes their bodies, softens their features, and breathes vitality into their movements. It's the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to prove anything. The kind of energy that makes others instinctively lean in a little closer, wanting to soak up whatever secret they're holding. But it's no secret. It's presence. It's peace. It's purpose. And this isn't just a poetic idea. It's something science is slowly beginning to affirm. Studies are starting to show what ancient traditions have whispered for centuries, that our emotional states, our spiritual practices, our energetic alignment, all have profound effects on our physiology. The stress we carry in our thoughts etches lines across our foreheads. The love we give freely lights up our skin. Joy, presence, forgiveness, these are not intangible qualities. They're fuel for the soul, and the soul, when nourished, glows. Walk through any forest or stand by the ocean, and you'll feel it. That subtle shift. The noise inside begins to quiet. Breathing deepens, shoulders drop, and suddenly, there's space. Space to remember who you are beyond the obligations and deadlines and roles. Nature doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't care how much money you make or what kind of car you drive. It just offers its rhythm, its balance, and if you're willing, it lets you sync up for a while. That reconnection, it's not just therapeutic, it's transformational. You don't need a passport or a remote mountaintop to feel it. It could be as simple as sitting on the grass with bare feet, or watching the way the sunlight dances through your window at the end of the day. The world is filled with tiny invitations to remember your aliveness, and every time you accept one, you bring your body back to a state that it was designed for: calm, centered, open. Now think of the people in your life who seem effortlessly youthful, the ones who laugh from their bellies and look you in the eyes without flinching. They're not hiding from life, they're engaged with it. But they engage from a place of wholeness. They've made peace with who they are, or at least they're trying to. And that intention alone carries power. They don't waste energy pretending. They don't carry the emotional weight of constant comparison. Their value doesn't hinge on someone else's validation. That kind of freedom, emotional, spiritual freedom, gives life to the body. It creates space for healing, for regeneration. Because the truth is, the body listens to the soul, and when the soul is at peace, the body reflects it. And then there's empathy, that sacred ability to feel what someone else feels. It softens the sharp edges of the world. Empathetic people tend to age differently, not because life treats them gently, but because they treat life and others with a softness that keeps their hearts open. That openness changes how they carry themselves. There's no armor, no tightness, just a kind of emotional fluency that keeps them fluid, adaptable, alive. You notice it in their eyes, especially. The way they light up when someone else shares good news. The way they stay when others leave. Empathy doesn't just connect us, it sustains us. It keeps our energy flowing outward in healthy, giving ways. And when your energy is flowing, not blocked by judgment or resentment, your body doesn't stagnate, your spirit doesn't shrink. Instead, you stay dynamic, youthful. Because youth, at its core, is not an age, it's a vitality, a circulation of spirit. Those who've cultivated kindness, who've chosen love even when it was hard, who extend grace when it's not deserved, those are the people who carry something timeless. And their beauty isn't in the symmetry of their faces. It's in the way you feel when you're around them. Safe, seen, invited to just be. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade. And if you're wondering how to begin cultivating that in your own life, you don't have to start with a grand gesture. Sometimes it begins with a breath, a choice to pause before reacting, a decision to look someone in the eye and truly listen, a whispered prayer before bed, not for things, but for understanding. These small practices add up. They build a life that's rich from the inside out. You don't need perfection. You need alignment. You need truth. You need moments where you remember what matters, and you let go of what doesn't. Because every time you do, you release something that ages you. And in its place, you plant something that brings you back to life. There's a quiet kind of strength in those who've met life, not with resistance, but with openness. People who've danced with uncertainty, who've looked heartbreak in the face and still chose to love again. That kind of person carries an energy that feels like home. And oddly enough, they often look younger than they are. Not because time skipped over them, but because they chose not to carry time's weight so heavily. You'll often find them smiling, not the kind of smile that's forced or for show, but one that rises effortlessly, like a sunrise behind the eyes. You can tell when someone's been through fire and come out softer instead of bitter. Their kindness isn't performative. It's etched into every gesture, every word, and that softness becomes part of how they age, or rather, how they don't. Adaptability is at the heart of it. The ability to flow with life, not fight it. While others clench their fists at change, these people open their hands. They don't always have the answers, but they trust their footing anyway. That trust keeps their nervous system calm, their hearts steady. You won't see the furrowed brow of constant worry. Instead, there's a quiet alertness, a readiness to meet whatever's coming with grace. Watch how they move through spaces. There's no rush in their step, no panic behind their eyes. They carry themselves like life isn't something to conquer, but something to experience. And that attitude, that calm engagement, preserves them. Not just emotionally, but physically. You feel their youth before you see it. And when you do see it, It's not in their skin, but in their spirit. It's the same energy you sense in those who make time for silence. The ones who, even in chaos, retreat inward for clarity. They don't need noise to fill the space. They've made peace with quiet, and that kind of internal peace becomes visible. It's there in their eyes, unrushed, grounded, clear. Meditation, prayer, moments of solitude, these aren't just spiritual fluff. They're tools for renewal, and those who use them wisely often carry a kind of stillness that glows. You've probably met someone like this. Maybe it's a teacher from years ago who still remembers your name. Maybe it's a neighbor who always smiles, no matter what's going on. Or someone you follow online who speaks with such calm, it feels like a balm to your nervous system. These people aren't accidentally radiant. They've chosen a different path, a way of living that nourishes their inner world so deeply, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. It's not about living a perfect life either. It's about how they meet the imperfect moments. Do they breathe through discomfort, or do they brace against it? Do they forgive quickly, or do they hold on to pain until it reshapes their face? You can see the difference. One path ages you, the other frees you. True youthfulness isn't in fighting against age. It's in releasing the resistance to life. Every wrinkle tells a story, but some carry stories of tension, while others tell of laughter and grace. It's not what you go through, but how you hold it that writes itself into your body. There's also a certain light in people who live with purpose. Not always a grand public purpose. Sometimes it's quiet. A parent raising their children with love. A caregiver tending to the sick with tenderness. An artist creating in the margins of a busy life. But when someone feels aligned with their reason for being, they emit a different frequency. They don't waste energy pretending to be something they're not. That saves them. Literally. Saves their cells, their sleep, their soul. Purpose is more than motivation. It's an organizing force. It focuses energy. And when your energy is focused on what matters most, there's less room for internal noise, less anxiety, less indecision, and all that peace, visible. It rests in the way someone carries their shoulders, how they speak, how they breathe. Look at the eyes of someone who's found their why. There's a spark there, even in silence, a flicker of something that doesn't fade with years. And when you're around them, you don't feel older, you feel awakened. That's the kind of presence that rewrites time. Now imagine layering that kind of purpose with daily practices that feed the spirit, not routines for show, but rituals that ground the soul. A few quiet minutes in the morning, a warm cup of tea made with care, a walk just to feel the wind on your skin. These moments, repeated with love, become sacred. They stitch a kind of harmony into the day that protects you from the aging noise of the world. That's the secret many miss. It's not just what you do, it's the energy with which you do it. Eat the healthiest meal in a rush, and your body still feels stressed. But take time, breathe, taste, and give thanks. And suddenly, that same meal becomes nourishment on every level. It's presence that transforms the ordinary into medicine. And yes, the body responds. Your breath deepens, your digestion improves, your skin reflects ease. But beyond the physical, there's a shift in the soul, a remembering, a return to something ancient and whole. The kind of inner alignment that doesn't just preserve your youth, it amplifies it. And there's something else, forgiveness. The hidden youth serum no one talks about enough. Carrying resentment is like carrying a weight that your body was never designed for. It drags on your heart, dulls your glow, and eventually shows up on your face. But forgiveness, real, deep, unclenching forgiveness, is a release. It softens the features, opens the heart, clears the air inside you. You can almost spot it immediately in someone who's forgiven much. They don't speak with bitterness. They don't flinch at names from the past. They move through life lighter because they've let go of the emotional stones. And that lightness is visible. It lifts the brow. It brightens the eyes. It turns age from something feared into something honored. They say time waits for no one, but maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe time walks alongside those who walk in peace, who carry their stories without shame, who've traded pain for presence. These are the people who remind us what's possible, that youth is not something we lose, it's something we return to again and again, through the choices we make, the energy we keep, and the spirit we nurture. There's a kind of magic in people who've made peace with who they are. Not the kind of peace that comes from having it all figured out, but the deeper kind, the kind that settles in when you stop fighting yourself. That self-acceptance, that quiet yes to your own being, is like a key that unlocks vitality from within. It's a glow that makeup can't create, a softness that age can't dim. You notice it in the way they walk, not rushed, not seeking approval, just grounded, present. And presence really is everything. So many people walk through life halfway gone, stuck in their heads, numbing their emotions, disconnected from their breath. But then you meet someone who is fully here, fully awake in this very moment, and it changes the air around them. They seem more alive, more attuned. That level of presence becomes visible. It sculpts the body in subtle ways, the way their eyes rest without darting, the ease in their jaw, the openness in their chest. Presence relaxes us into ourselves, and in that relaxation, we stop aging quite so fast. It's no surprise that spiritual traditions from every corner of the world have long understood this, that aging is not just about biology, it's also about how well we stay in tune with our spirit. You see it in monks, in healers, in ordinary people who've tapped into a deeper well of wisdom. Their bodies may show years, but their energy, light, clear, balanced, defies it. Because it's not just about time passing. It's about how fully you're living while it passes. And then there's joy. Not fleeting, manufactured joy, but real joy. The kind that bubbles up unexpectedly when you're doing something that lights you up from the inside. That kind of joy, even if brief, has a way of recharging every cell in your body. It's medicine. It softens your skin, clears your gaze, straightens your spine. Have you ever laughed so hard your face felt different afterward? That's not your imagination. That's your body, reacting to a chemical symphony orchestrated by joy. People who live with joy in their bones look different. They might have lines, but those lines tell beautiful stories. They might have gray in their hair, but their spirit is so full of color, it doesn't matter. Joy doesn't erase age, it makes it irrelevant. And here's what's even more profound. Joy is contagious. When you're near someone who truly enjoys life, not in a performative way, but in a deep, embodied way, you can feel it. Your own body responds. You breathe easier. You smile without meaning to. It's as if your spirit recognizes theirs, and something inside you exhales. That's what these people offer the world, a kind of emotional permission. They give others space to soften, to drop the masks, to remember the simple, beautiful things that matter most. And in doing that, they also offer themselves the greatest gift of all, freedom. Freedom from the heavy scripts we're taught about aging, about how we're supposed to shrink as we grow older. They don't shrink. They expand. And that expansion is magnetic. It's not just mindset. It's a way of living. It's waking up and choosing to be kind, to be awake, to be curious, choosing to breathe deeply, to eat with gratitude, to speak gently, to listen with the intent to understand. These choices, repeated every day, shape more than just your character. They shape your energy, they shape your health, they shape your face. And don't forget how much influence the company we keep has on our youthfulness. Have you noticed how some people seem to come alive when they're with certain friends? Laughter flows easier, stories pour out, the hours disappear. That's not just nostalgia or chemistry. That's shared energy raising the vibration. We're not designed to thrive in isolation. We're wired for connection. And true soul-deep connection, where we feel safe, seen, and celebrated, is one of the most powerful elixirs of youth there is. These connections renew us. They remind us who we are when the world gets noisy. And those reminders, they keep us young. Not in the artificial sense, but in the essential one. Youth as a quality of openness, of trust, of wonder. Because the truth is, we start aging the moment we begin to close off. When we protect ourselves too much, when we stop letting new experiences in, when we become rigid in our thinking, in our habits, in our hearts. But stay open, and something extraordinary happens. Time becomes less of a threat and more of a teacher. People who carry this openness are curious. They ask questions. They try new things. They're not afraid to be beginners. They stay teachable. And in that state of humility and wonder, they never stop growing. That growth, that constant evolution, it doesn't just keep the mind sharp, it lights up the spirit. And again, the body follows. You might notice they don't speak badly about themselves. They don't engage in the self-deprecating language that so many of us fall into. It's not arrogance, it's reverence. They've learned that words have weight, and that how you speak about yourself becomes how your body responds. You call yourself tired, and your body listens. You speak life over yourself, and your cells respond with vitality. So they choose their words with care. They bless their food before eating. They bless their bodies instead of criticizing them. They look in the mirror not searching for flaws, but for the spark in their own eyes. And that shift alone, seeing beauty instead of chasing it, creates a ripple effect that transforms everything. They also know how to rest, not just sleep, but real rest. Rest that restores, that unhooks them from the demands of the world and reconnects them to their breath, to their soul. In a culture that glorifies burnout and busyness, true rest is revolutionary. And it's visible. You can see the difference between someone who's rested and someone who's constantly running on empty. One glows, the other flickers. So they make rest a priority, not as an afterthought, but as a sacred act. They step away when needed. They say no without guilt. They create spaces where nothing is expected of them, where they can just be. And in those spaces, healing happens. Vitality returns. This is the rhythm of a youthful soul. Not constant motion, but intentional balance. Not perfection, but presence. They live in tune with their own nature, not the expectations of a world obsessed with appearances. And that alignment, that deep resonant harmony, shows up in everything. There's a quiet revolution happening in those who choose to live with intention. You won't see it broadcast with fanfare. It won't trend on social media or be sold in glossy bottles. But it's real. It lives in the small, sacred decisions made daily. The decision to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to honor the feeling instead of burying it. These are the people who've stepped off the hamster wheel and into something deeper. And the life they lead, it's written on their faces, etched in their posture, pulsing in their energy. They know that everything matters. The music they listen to, the words they speak, the thoughts they entertain. They don't allow negativity to live rent-free in their minds. They don't gossip or dwell in complaint. They understand that their inner environment shapes their outer reality. And when you live from that place of integrity, of self-awareness, of conscious alignment, it does something extraordinary to the way you show up in the world. Your body begins to mirror your spirit. It starts moving in rhythm with your truth. And when truth is your compass, there's no need to chase beauty. Beauty follows naturally, like a shadow following the sun. You can feel this in spaces like spiritual retreats, where people come not to escape life, but to return to it fully. Where silence is not emptiness, but fullness. Where strangers become mirrors, and the air feels clearer simply because intention fills the room. These environments strip away the noise and reveal what's been there all along, a soul craving reconnection. That reconnection, whether found in a quiet mountain cabin or in the 5 minutes of stillness before your morning coffee, rewires you. It reminds you that you're not just a body aging with time. You're a soul moving through chapters. And when your soul is honored, nourished, and expressed, time becomes irrelevant. And it doesn't stop with retreats or rituals. These individuals infuse intention into the simplest parts of life, the way they stir their tea, the way they hug without rushing, the way they speak your name like it matters. They move through the world with reverence, and the world responds in kind. They've let go of the belief that youth is something to cling to. They don't fight the mirror. They bless it. They don't dread birthdays. They celebrate them, knowing that each year adds another layer to their depth. Their beauty isn't in trying to appear young, but in embodying a timeless energy that says, I am alive, and that's enough. Even their challenges don't steal from them. If anything, those trials deepen their radiance. Pain becomes a sculptor, shaping a stronger, more compassionate self. And that resilience, it makes them shine. It makes them magnetic. Because we're not drawn to perfection. We're drawn to truth. And truth, lived out loud, is the most youthful force there is. You might see it in a grandmother dancing with her grandchild, laughter echoing through the room like music, or in the man who still plants flowers each spring, not for recognition, but for the simple joy of watching something bloom, or in the friend who, even in her darkest season, still found ways to pour kindness into others. These are the moments where timelessness lives, where the soul peeks through the skin and says, I'm still here, still shining. And when people live like that, open-hearted, grounded, generous, it changes everything. The lines on their face become beautiful. Their voice carries more weight. Their eyes sparkle not because they're untouched by time, but because they've decided not to fear it. They become examples of a new kind of beauty, one not defined by symmetry or smoothness, but by presence, spirit, and light. And that kind of beauty is enduring. It doesn't fade with age. It deepens. It invites. It expands.